picture, you think of the things that you see. Try this. Have a look at this picture and just don't speak. Just think one word of the different things you can see. Try this. Great. Now, you probably all thought different things, right? I was thinking yoga, plants, t-shirt, lights, mat, right? Those are the things that I thought of. This is a great and simple activity, right? You can do this anywhere. You can just do it for a few minutes when you're waiting in line, if you're queuing in the bank or commuting on a train. You can use a picture, but probably more natural is just to look around you and describe the things that you see in your head, right? So, you know, you're queuing in the bank and you look around and you go, bank, queue, security guard, gun, lights, camera, noisy, and so on, just going on in your head, right? Very, very simple. Remember, with words that you already know. The secret is to do this as a daily habit, right? Even just for a minute, but to do it every day. And it's starting small, right? Atomic Habits. Have you read that? James Clear? Come on. If you haven't read it, go and check it out. Atomic Habits. So you build up this small habit every day, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is to start small and build up. So in my previous example, we started with individual words, right? But then you can move up to collocations, right? 2 words or 3 words, chunks or phrases. So when we look at the yoga situation, right? Whether it's a picture or your yoga class, you might say yoga mat, blue t-shirt, bright lights, indoor plants, right? Thinking, right? Not saying, but you're thinking these. And then you can build up and you can start making phrases. Oh, there's a yoga mat. She's wearing a blue t-shirt. Those indoor plants are nice, right? Have a go. Here's the picture again. Either try collocations or short phrases. Have a go. Right, nice. So you can see you're starting small and building up with this daily habit, thinking in English. Lovely. Next. Right, next up is talk to yourself. So in the last activity, right, start small and build up, we were focusing on just thinking, right, those words and phrases in your head. Now we're going to extend that to actually talking to yourself, saying the words out loud. Again, the goal is not to build vocabulary, right? The goal is to work on fluency. The reason for this is I turned to the Russian psychologist and educator Lev Vygotsky, right? And he said that the inner voice, your thinking, comes from the internalization of your outer voice, the speaking, right? If you think about it, right, that inner voice in your head, it's the same voice as when you speak. The only difference is your muscles, you're not using these muscles. So this cycle of thinking, speaking, through practice, we can reinforce it and help us to think more in English. Now, we're not here engaging with other people, right? It's just talking to yourself, right? So maybe as you're walking that. The waiter would say, what would you like? What would you like? Right? But to a friend, you say, well, what do you want? I'll have a Coca-Cola, please. Don't have a Coca-Cola. So unhealthy. I'll have a green tea, please. Let's try another one. Similar idea. How would you say this? What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Listen. What are you doing? Follow me. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right. Asking people, of course, well, what activity are they doing now, right? What are you doing? Well, I'm giving a class. What are you doing? What are you doing? Another expression which actually means the same is this one. What are you up to? What are you up to? Follow me. What are you up to? What are you up to? What are you up to? Nice, great, right? Which means, what are you doing? So the next one you should be able to do. What are you having? Right? Listen, what are you having? Follow me. What are you having? What are you having? So this is a phrase we would use, again, if you're with a friend in a bar or a restaurant and asking them, what do you want to eat or to drink? We can say, what are you having? What are you having? Oh, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, please. Let's look at some more present tense questions, right? Now, we said, what are you doing, right? The do you, there is a different way of pronouncing that, right? So if we take this phrase, do you want a coffee? Very often, right, this would become, do you want a coffee? Listen, do you wanna? Follow me, do you wanna? Do you want a coffee? Nice. It's the j sound is almost like the j in age. Age, j. Do you wanna? So you could practice saying tea. Do you want a tea? Try tea. Do you want a tea? Coca-Cola? Do you want a Coca-Cola? Great. Another question we may ask is this one. And this is one more polite. So, for example, the waiter might ask you, or you could be with somebody you don't know so well, right? Would you like a coffee? Would you like a coffee? Follow me. Would you like a coffee? Would you like a coffee? Great, right? We can say tea. Would you like a tea? A piece of cake. Would you like a piece of cake? Nice, okay. So hopefully you're starting to hear the difference between the spoken sounds and what's written up here. Let's move on. Guys, if you're enjoying this video and finding it useful, check out my fluency gym, right? There are 3 free videos, say that quickly, 3 free videos with me where you can practice your pronunciation and natural spoken English to build up your fluency. It's a bit like I'm in the room with you. It's great. Go and check it out. The link is down below. And if you like that, you can even try the complete fluency course, Fluency for IELTS Speaking, which will help you sound a little bit more like a native speaker. Right. Let's move on. I've got a story for you. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a little girl who lived in the forest, and her name was Goldilocks. And there were 3 bears who also lived in the forest, and their names were Duzzy, Wuzzy, and Huzzy. Now, these three bears were very curious bears, and they were always asking questions, right? Duzzy was always asking questions about the present, right? Does he like it? Does he want it? Does he know what to do? The second bear, Wuzzy, right, was a bit more focused on the past. Was he happy? Was he okay? Was he upset? And the third bear, Huzzy, right, he was kind of connecting the past and the present. So he would be asking questions too, right? Like, has he called you? Has he come? Has he sent you a message yet? Right? Three very curious bears. Duzzy, Wuzzy, and Huzzy. Great. What a great story. Now, the reason, of course, we've got this is to show you how we say, let's take the three different bears, right? The first one, questions in the present, right? Typically, you'll say, right, does he like it? But the important thing here is with he, the h, the h usually disappears in the question. So instead of does he, it's does he? Does he? Right? Does he like it? Does he want it? Does he have it? Right? Can you say? Does he like it? Great. Want it? Does he want it? Nice. Great. Now, similarly, in the past, we've got Wuzzy, right? The funny bear Wuzzy. So instead of saying was he, we say, we contract the was to was he, was he, was he. Was he happy? Sad? Was he sad? Upset? Was he upset? Right? Upset meaning angry or sad, right? Maybe cross. Great. The third bear was the present perfect, right? If we take, for example, has he called you? Has he? Again, the ha becomes her. Has he? Has he? Has he called? Has he come? Excellent. Great. So again, these are all very small things, but they make a huge difference in helping you sound more natural. But also when you hear these sounds, you'll know what they are. Excellent. Moving on. Now, there's a common question, right, I get from students, which is, can I use wanna and gonna in IELTS speaking? It's a great question, and the answer, very briefly, is yes, right? Wanna and gonna are contractions of want to and going to, and yes, we use contractions in spoken English. IELTS speaking is a test of your natural spoken English, conversational English, so yes, use them. It's a great question, but what you should also be asking me is, well, what other contractions are there? How many are there? And actually, are there other things that native speakers do when speaking naturally that I should know about? The answer is yes, and lucky for you, luckily for you, there's a video up here that I made that tells you all about it. So you can go and watch that. No, not now. No, later. Because right now, stick with me, we're going to have a look at those contractions wanna and gonna and a few others in a bit more detail. Alrighty, let's have a look at these common contractions. First of all, this one. How would you say it? Of course, we read it, I am going to go. But when we speak, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Listen, am gonna go. Follow me, am gonna go. I'm gonna go, right? I'm gonna go. The big mistake a lot of people make is they say, I'm gonna to go. I'm gonna to go. Remember, the gonna includes the to, so you don't need to say to go. You drop the to. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna visit you, right? What if you want to say, have a coffee? I'm gonna have a coffee. Nice, great. This one. Excellent. I think you're getting the hang of this. I want to go. I want to go. Listen. I wanna go. Follow me. I wanna go. I want to go. I want to go. Nice. If you want to say visit you, I want to visit you. I want to visit you. Excellent. Good. Now, what about this one? Should we go? Should we go? Listen. Should we go? Follow me. Should we go? Should we go? Right, that huge contraction. Instead of shall we go? Should we go? Should we have a coffee? Should we go out? Okay, try it. If I want to say go out, should we go out? Great, okay. Which of course, this is used to shall we is a suggestion to people with you to do something together, right? Great, we've looked at the gonna, the wanna. What about this one? Getting a bit more complicated. If we want to talk about regret in the past, right, we might say, I should have gone. Listen. I should have gone. Follow me. I should have gone. I should have gone. I should have gone. Right? The whole should have, shoulda. I should have gone. Like gonna, shoulda. I should have gone. Right? That's expressing a regret. You know, there was a party last week. I didn't go, and now I feel bad about it. And, you know, maybe it's FOMO, fear of missing out. I should have gone. Right? That's a regret I have now. Talking about possibility in the past, well, we have this phrase. How do you say that? Okay, I could have gone. I could have gone. Listen, I could have gone. Repeat with me. I could have gone. I could have gone. I could have gone. Yeah, right. I could have gone. That expresses a possibility, right, in the past, but you didn't do it, right? So there was a party. I could have gone, but I decided not to go because, I don't know, I didn't have enough money to buy all my friends a drink. I could have gone, but I didn't go. For example, if you had the possibility to visit Paris, but you didn't, what would you say? I could have visited Paris. I could have visited Paris, but I didn't. Right? Same thing. I could have visited. I could have visited Paris, but I didn't. Excellent. Moving on. Next, I want to be clear, right, that your goal does not have to be to sound like a perfect native English speaker, right? There is no need. You can be an advanced, proficient C2 level speaker and not sound exactly like a native speaker. In fact, that model of the native speaker is probably impossible for most students, not necessary, and often leads to frustration. So you don't need to be like a native speaker, right? Phew. My message is, yes, to try and sound more like a native speaker, to improve your pronunciation and control of pronunciation so that you can get a higher score on IELTS speaking. But it doesn't have to be perfect, right? No pressure. Enjoy playing with these sounds, right? If you can hear them, that's going to help your listening. If you can start to use them and practice some of them, fantastic, right? But do it in a fun way. Remember, it's all about practice, not perfection. If you found this video useful, you should check out this one up here, which is an advanced listening lesson, which will help you understand fast native speaker English much more deeply. Do remember to press subscribe, turn on the notification button so you can find out about other upcoming videos coming your way, right? Also, leave me a comment down below. Let me know which part of this video you liked the most, okay? And I look forward to seeing you in a moment in the next video. See you soon. All right, Stan, what are you up to? Same old, same old. And what are you having? I'll have a coffee, if you don't mind. Sure, and what did you think of the video? Immensely interesting, actually. Well, that's good to know. What was your favourite expression? Hands down, the three bears. Doesy, wuzzy, and azzy. Nice. So listen, I'm off now to go and watch one of Keith's other videos. Oh, yeah. Which one? The one about fast English. Sounds pretty useful, right? Yes, it does, actually, yeah. All right, cheers. Take care. Great, cheers. Cheerio. Ta-ta. Bye. There is one thing you can do that will significantly improve both your listening skills and speaking skills in English. In this video, I'm going to tell you what it is and how to do it. Hello, this is Keith from English Speaking Success. And if you didn't know, I also run the website, the Keith Speaking Academy. Great. So listen, let's cut to the chase. I'm going to tell you straight away the one thing you can do to improve both your listening and speaking skills. And this is it. You need to be using a combination of top-down strategies and bottom-up strategies. It's as simple as that. Great. So you can go now. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. What? Are you still here? What's the matter? Oh, you want to know what top-down and bottom-up strategies are? Okay, fair enough. And how to use them? Yeah, okay, let me tell you in this video. In fact, let me go the extra mile. Let me tell you also at the end, I'll give you a bonus. I'm going to tell you some of the best TV series that you can be watching to improve both your listening and speaking skills. Oh, and a nice place where you can find lots of listening materials, nicely organized, easy to access. It's one of my favorite mobile apps, Woodpecker Learning. More about that shortly. Let's dive into those strategies. Okay, let's begin with this top-down listening strategy. So top-down strategy is a bit like when a bird is flying and they're looking down, they can see everything. That's why in English we say a bird's eye view. To have a bird's eye view is to look down and see everything. Basically, you're looking at the bigger picture, or maybe I should say listening to the bigger picture. Okay, it's really important you are not trying to pick up and understand every word. Just get the gist. The gist is the general idea. It's important because so many students try to understand every word, and when they can't, they get frustrated. And often they just can't see the wood for the trees. It's a good expression. Can't see the wood for the trees means they're looking at so many details, they don't see the bigger picture. They don't understand what's happening. So the first top-down strategy is to just listen for the main idea. Okay, let me show you an example. I'm going to show you a very short clip from a new series and see if you can get the main idea. Let's have a listen.
But as each new day pummels us, with a seemingly endless onslaught of fresh horrors, we must not lose faith. After all, this is America, where opportunity awaits around every corner. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yeah, just put her in the coffin too. They're both pretty small.
All right, you get her feet.
And we will take this from the top. Hope!
Right. So you may have got the main idea that here, well, there's a man speaking to other people, trying to motivate them and get them to follow him. Somebody dies, and there's a bit of silence and possibly humour. Now, probably you're using two things to help you get the main idea. You're using your existing knowledge. Maybe you know this man is a priest because of the uniform. And a priest, well, what do? Is they talk and give ideas to the audience or the crowd. The correct word is the congregation. They talk about faith and they try and get the crowd to follow him. The second thing you may be noticing are some key words. Words like lose faith. He's talking about faith. America. This is America maybe 100 or 150 years ago. Amen. You may have heard that word. Amen is a word we use in the Mass. It just means I agree. And coffin. Coffin is the box for the dead people. So the woman falls over, she dies. He says, put her in the coffin. She is small as well. So there's a bit of humour or comedy there. It's very dry comedy, but you may sense something funny is happening. So you're getting the main idea using your existing knowledge, using some keywords. And this, it's really important. I think using this strategy is important at the beginning of a listening and whenever the scene changes. So when there's a new scene, you just want to float up high, look down, listen for the bigger picture. The other thing you can do, the second top-down strategy, is use the context to give you clues. So what do I mean by the context of the listening? Well, it may be the title of the listening or some images or scenes, things within the picture that can help you. For example, if we're going to watch a clip and we see this scene, right? Have a look at this. Now, this context, you can see it looks like a hospital, possibly a place of surgery. There seem to be two people in white coats, probably doctors. So this context is giving us some clues about what is probably happening. What could they be talking about? Maybe a new medicine, maybe a patient, maybe an operation that's going to happen, right? So this context is kind of the top down. We're looking to see how this can help us understand the main idea. Let's watch the clip and see if you can get the main idea. What I want you to do is use the context, your knowledge of hospitals, and any keywords that pop up. All three top-down strategies. Let's try.
You get that consent on 104?
Well, I made him a deal. He's got a meeting with Dr. Max from psychiatry at 6. We'll get the consent by 8. We can operate first thing in the morning.
You did pass anatomy, right, Dr. Brown? His problem's in his heart, not his head.
He's not psychologically ready for surgery. He will be soon.
Okay, great. So the main idea, it seems to be two doctors talking about surgery for a patient, basically. So some of our guesses were correct. Some of the key words I heard were psychiatry, consent, which is an agreement to have an operation, operate morning, so maybe operate tomorrow, ready for surgery. So I can get the main idea that they're getting somebody ready for the surgery. I also sense there's a bit of maybe disagreement between the two doctors, and my knowledge of hospitals tells me that often doctors may have different opinions. Right, great. So these are top-down strategies you can be using at the beginning or at the change of scene when you're watching something. Let's move on. Next. Right, next, bottom up strategies. This is almost the opposite of top down. This is more about listening for detail. Not necessarily every word, but getting the details you need. So this is really important if you're watching a series or a film. When do you use this? If, for example, there's a new character in the story, you may need details. If there's a change in plot, or there's a new idea being introduced, you may need the details. Or if there's a name or numbers have come up, these are typically when you need to get the details. And for me, I want to share with you 3 of the most important things you can do here for these bottom up strategies. Excuse the laughter. It always makes me laugh, bottom up. So first, noticing stressed words. Second, noticing intonation patterns. Third, noticing chunks. Let's take these one by one. First of all, noticing stressed words. Now, you may know that in English, we don't pronounce every word equally the same, right? Take this sentence. We don't say, caffeine was an amazing aid to the rise of capitalism. That's not how we speak. What we say is, caffeine was an amazing aid to the rise of capitalism. We stress the nouns, the adjectives, the verbs, the adverbs. Most of the other words get reduced or swallowed. They almost disappear, right? But you only need the stressed words. You only need to get caffeine, amazing aid, rise, capitalism, to get the detail that you need. So getting into the habit of noticing the stressed words will help you pick out the details. You may be thinking, that's a strange sentence, Keith. Why did you choose that? I chose that because I was watching this video the other day, and it's about food. Michael Pollan, great guy, talking about coffee. Have a look at this.
Contributed to the Enlightenment and the Age of Reason and the Industrial Revolution, all of which required us to think in much more focused linear terms. Caffeine was an amazing aid to the rise of capitalism.
You can go and check out that video later. Let's move on. Number 2, noticing intonation patterns. Now, intonation in English is challenging, difficult. No. Intonation is fun, it's exciting, it's changeable. It's really interesting to use intonation. I know that there are no fixed rules about it, but there are some intonation patterns that we often use that it's worth knowing. Let me share 3 of those intonation patterns you can be looking out for. Open questions. That's a question that is a yes-no question, right? Do you like it? Do you live here? Do you often go jogging? It's a rising intonation when you have open questions. Another one, 2-clause sentences. For example, if I did this, I would do that. If I ate less, I wouldn't be so fat. If I had a lot of money, I would buy a house. That rising and falling intonation. Before I go to work, I have breakfast. That's another common pattern. Let me show you another clip. It's going back to the caffeine and the coffee video, which I really liked. Have a listen to this.
Before caffeine, basically people started work when the sun came up and stopped when it went down.
Can you see that? Can you see that pattern? Excuse me. Can you hear that pattern? Another common one is lists, where you have a list of something and it often goes dee. I like coffee, tea and butter. Butter? No. I like coffee, tea and beer. It goes up, and on the last one it comes down. Very common. Again, let's have a look at an example.
Spreading slowly from Africa through the Middle East and into the West.
Interesting, right? So those are some intonation patterns you can be noticing. Number 3 was to notice chunks. And I talk a lot about chunks. Chunks are basically a few words together that sound almost like one word. So for example, instead of saying, did you like it? We would say, did you like it? Did you like it? It's a chunk. Did you find it? Did you enjoy it? Right? You're pronouncing it almost like one sound. Now, my tip here is that this is something you can do when you're watching videos, is listen to just one sentence and try and repeat it, and try and listen to where there are chunks, these sounds, right? Then go and look at the subtitles and see if you can see the words that are making up the chunk, and then practice repeating again. Let's take an example. Here's another video. This is a comedy video. It's a comedy Zoom call with some famous people. Let's just have a listen, and I'm going to repeat or get the video to repeat this sentence and try and identify the sound, okay?
The food. How did you end up opening up food spots? I mean, start with the food. How did you end up opening up food spots? I mean, you're...
So I can hear how end up food spots, or how end up opening food spots. And then when I look at the subtitles, I can see how did you end up opening up food spots. And if I listen some more...
Start with the food. How did you end up opening up food spots? I mean, you're...
How did you end up? Did you end up? Did you end up? How did you end up? How did you end up? That's the chunk. How did you end up? It's how did you end up? It may help you to actually write out the letters like this. How did you end up? How did you end up opening up food spots? And picking out just that one chunk and practicing it is really useful for your speaking skills as well as your listening skills. Now you may be thinking, where are you watching this? That's not YouTube. And how do you get it to repeat all that sentence again and again? Well, this is one of my favorite apps, right? This is the Woodpecker app. And I love it because it brings together all of these videos from YouTube, but they've curated them into different playlists around entertainment, education, food, talk shows, documentaries, science, space, lots of stuff, even teachers of English, which is ideal. And you can go in there, and this is the beauty, as you've seen, is as you're watching, right, if you want to repeat a phrase or a chunk, you can put it on automatic repeat, and it just goes around repeating it. You've got the transcript for every video if you want to watch it. You don't have to. And what's more, it gets better. If you don't understand a word, you just press the word and it tells you. For example, if we're not sure about end up, I can press that phrase and look, it comes up, end up, to conclude, turn out, sometimes unexpectedly. You can even add it to your history, save the word, and then export them to have a word list from the shows that you've been watching. It's an amazing app, and I think it makes learning English, well, fun and exciting. You can learn whilst watching your favourite shows. You can learn new words. You can practice your listening skills and your speaking skills as well. They have, at the last count, I think over 300,000 videos, all of them with the transcripts. It's absolutely brilliant. What a great way to be learning English. So go and check them out. There is a link down below. You can download the app for free, start using it straight away. If you're on an iPad, you can access your Netflix account, and you can be using the transcript feature for Netflix series as well. It doesn't get any better. Great. Woodpecker Learning, guys, fantastic app. Well done. Thoroughly recommend it to all of my students. Now, let's move on. Now, next, as promised, this bonus is me suggesting some of the best TV series that you can be watching to improve your speaking and listening skills. Now, I've chosen these partly because I think they're good for learners, and partly because I actually loved watching them. They were really good. What I do suggest is try not to watch the same kind of thing all the time. Now, even though you love action movies, don't just watch action movies. You need to be watching different kinds of clips, videos, films, series. You want to be listening to different accents, looking at different contexts, different genres, because all of that will give you a much wider range of language which you're going to need to become a better speaker of English. So let's kick off first with action series, right? I mean, action series are great because it's often simple language and there's lots of visual support to help you learn. So apart from the Marvel series like Iron Fist, which is good, but very, very American, others that I like are Killing Eve, a British spy thriller with suspense, drama and unexpected twists in the plot. Also, His Dark Materials, which is a fantasy drama based on the books by Philip Pullman, recommended to me by my daughter. Next, we've got 2 sitcoms, and sitcoms or situational comedies are great because you've got very natural everyday English, cultural references, and you get to learn the sense of humour of English. I recommend Ted Lasso. It's the story of an American coach who comes to the UK to train at Premier League English football club and the hilarious adventures that come about from the culture clash between American culture and British culture. Then there's Mythic Quest. It tells the hilarious adventures of the staff of a company that creates the biggest multiplayer video game in the world. Next up, we've got the news, and 2 news programs which I think are good because, well, the news gives you lots of rich vocabulary as well as idiomatic expressions. I would recommend Good Morning Britain, which is a light-hearted look at the daily news, or Panorama. And if you like investigative journalism but not too sensationalist, that's for you. Next, a couple of drama series. And drama is good, again, for the natural conversation, but also the kind of colourful language you may get. Lots of slang as well, although do not use slang in IELTS speaking, but it's always useful to know. First of all, Little Fires Everywhere. Absolutely brilliant. This is Reese Witherspoon, who is the head of a picture-perfect family whose lives get turned upside down by the arrival of an enigmatic mother and her daughter. Then we've got The Handmaid's Tale, which is, I guess, the more horrific end of the drama spectrum. This is about really a futuristic dystopia where the role of women is turned upside down. If you can bear it, go and watch it. It's great. Next, I would strongly recommend documentaries because they cover a wide range of topics and a huge range of vocabulary, as well as great ideas for your IELTS speaking. I would recommend The Social Dilemma. It tells you how social media really works. And also Cowspiracy, which tells you about the real culprit of climate change, the elephant in the room that nobody is talking about. It's really worth watching. I do also recommend you go and check out Curiosity Stream. It's a paid-for service. I think it's $20 a year, but some amazing high-quality documentaries, well worth checking out. Finally, chat shows are brilliant because you get, again, natural conversation. It's everyday life, popular topics. I would recommend The Ellen Show. What more can I say? Pure genius. And The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And I think The Late Show is nice. You can see interviews, very candid conversations with celebrities, and also, of course, Stephen Colbert's rather elegant wit and humour. That's it. Lots of TV series you can use to go and practice your listening and speaking skills and your top-down and bottom-up strategies. So remember, I think in order to really develop your listening and speaking skills, you need actually a combination of these top-down and bottom-up strategies. At different times, you may be using different ones, but use them both. I hope all of this helps, and also have fun with the suggestions around the TV series. Go and explore something new. Look at lots of different types of programs to help improve your listening and speaking skills. And finally, remember Woodpecker Learning. What a great app. A place where you can find easy to access videos, well organized playlists that you can go and study with, And it's fun and exciting. And with all of those built-in tools to help you follow the transcript, practice repeating chunks, check words you don't know, access Netflix, come on. It's well worth checking out. The links are down below in the description. You can go and download the app for free. And let me know in the comments what you think of the app. What are you watching to learn English and practice your listening and speaking skills? Great. It's been a pleasure. As always, I can't wait to see you very soon in the next video. Take care, my friend. See you later. How do you start a conversation in English? Well, if you want to learn some natural English small talk so that you can start conversations easily, you're in the right place. Hello, this is Keith from the YouTube channel English Speaking Success, and I also run the website The Keith Speaking Academy. And I'm here. Why am I here? Oh yes, I'm here, well, not only to help you study English, but also I really want to help you speak better English and become a better communicator in English. Yes, that's what I would like to help you with today and the days coming. And I think that's why small talk is important, right? Because when we meet people, we often talk about unimportant things, what we call trivial things, like the weather, right? And this is just a way to break the ice, or it's a conversation starter. It's a way to get to know the person better sometimes. Sometimes it's just a way of saying hello, right? Sometimes it's just one sentence and then bye-bye. Other times you want to get to know the person better and find some common ground that you can talk about and discuss. So I wonder, what do people in your country talk about when you meet somebody or you meet a new person for the first time? Let me know. Leave me a comment down below. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 3 typical situations where you might use small talk, the common topics that you might talk about, and I'll show you some natural, easy to use phrases that you can be using and put into action, well, right away. Also, I have a bonus at the very end of the video because, you know, I think around the world, by and large, people talk about the same things in small talk. However, it does depend sometimes on the culture and the country. There are certain topics that are more popular and there are certain topics which are taboo. Taboo just means you shouldn't talk about them. So the bonus is at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you some of the taboo topics that for British people, right? The things that you shouldn't say to British people when you're engaged in small talk. And just before we move on, I'd like to say a big thank you to Cambly, who are sponsoring this video. If you don't know Cambly, it's an online platform where you can learn English with qualified native English speaking teachers. Very practical, very easy to use, fantastic way to practice your English and become a better communicator. I'm going to tell you more about that later in the video. Right now, let's get into that first situation where we may be using small talk. Okay, so the first scenario, if you like, is parties and social events. So maybe it's a birthday party or an office party, Christmas party. Social events, you know, could be a wedding, could be a conference, a networking event, that kind of situation where you're meeting people and you want to start conversations to get to know them better. Now, there may be different things you can talk about, and I think you can talk about location, about food, about people, about travel and hobbies. to name a few, probably others, but let's have a look at each of these in turn. So first of all, the first one, when you're kind of wanting to break the ice, the location can be a good thing to talk about. Location can be either where you are now or where you're from. So, for example, I mean, if you're at a conference, for example, have you been here before? It's a classic sentence, right? A classic question. And also, what brings you here today? Which is nicer than why did you come here today? Which sounds a bit, why did you come here today? Sounds a bit strong. What brings you here today? It's much softer and politer. And of course, you can ask about where people are from. So, where are you from? Where are you from? And just be careful with this one, because sometimes people say, you know, I come from, well, for example, I come from China. And the other person says, oh, right, I met a woman once from China, a Mrs. Wang. Maybe you know her? It's like, come on, seriously? And I think what happens is people are so eager to find this common ground and keep the conversation going. They say rather silly things, right? It's much better sometimes just to say, well, if you've never been there, right? Well, oh, I've never been to China. What's it like? Absolutely. And that's great, because then you give them the opportunity to talk about where they're from. People love talking about where they're from and their hometown. Okay, location. Next, food. If you're at an event where they have put on some food, or they've given you some food, or a dinner, or a buffet, or a finger buffet, of course you can say, how's the food here? How's the food here? Great. Or even, it's a nice spread, isn't it? It's a nice spread, isn't it? A spread is a meal, because you spread the food on the table. That's a meal, typically like a buffet. It's a nice spread, isn't it? Isn't it is a very high level of English. This, we call it a question tag. It is a nice spread, isn't it? Is quite difficult to use, and many learners of English find it very challenging to use naturally. If you can, great, you'll show you've got a high level. If not, you can just say, right. It's a nice spread, right? Next, people. So you can talk about the other person, or you can talk about yourself, or about other people at the event. Okay. The first thing I always do when I introduce myself at parties is I keep it super simple. Hello, I'm Keith. And I say my name really slowly. And that's it, because people are not going to remember. I mean, you'll be lucky if they remember your name. But some people go, hello, my name's Keith. I'm an English teacher. I'm from Manchester. And at the moment I'm living in Spain. And all the other person hears is and that's it. That's all they get. So keep it super simple. Hello, I'm, right? Now, if it's, for example, Matthew's party or Matthew's wedding, you could say, so how do you know Matthew? Nice question. And then if you're digging deeper to get to know the person better, and what do you do? Even deeper, how did you get into that? How did you get into that? Meaning, how did you start that work or that job or that activity? People love to tell their life story about how they started a business or how they started working in a certain field. It's a great question. How did you get into that? And if things are going well and you're digging even deeper, right, you could say, and what are you working on at the moment? What are you working on at the moment? Notice the stress. What are you working on at the moment? Try. Yeah, that's great. And again, people love to tell you about the projects they're doing or what's keeping them busy at the moment. It's a really nice way to dig deeper into the conversation. Now, you've talked, that's going quite deep. You may at times want to switch and make things lighter, a bit more light-hearted, right? So you could talk about travel, for example, and you could say, been anywhere nice recently? Been anywhere nice recently? Great, good. So been is been. It should be, have you been anywhere nice recently or lately? But actually, in natural spoken English, we drop the have you and just say been. Been anywhere nice lately? Been anywhere nice lately? You'll see this more as we go through this video. Or maybe you could talk about hobbies, right? And a nice question for this is, what do you get up to when you're not working? What do you get up to when you're not working? To get up to is to do something in a relaxed way, if you like, right? Great question. Not what is your hobby, which sounds a bit bookish and formal. What do you get up to when you're not working? Try. That's it. Lovely. So all of these topics can be great things to talk about when you're at a party or social event. Right, the next situation is not quite as serious as the first one. This is actually much more the kind of conversation where it's hello, goodbye, right? Very, very brief, small, really small talk. So this may be when you bump into your neighbour. Bump into means to meet by chance or by accident. When you're maybe queuing in line or queuing in line, waiting in line or queuing, maybe at a shop, in the supermarket, at the bus stop. We love queuing at the bus stops in England, honestly. Maybe it's with a taxi driver or a shop assistant, just something very brief to be friendly, basically. So the classic here is to talk about weather, right? So you could say, nice day, isn't it? Nice day, isn't it? Remember the isn't it? You could just say right, right? Nice day, right? And notice, instead of saying it's a nice day, we drop that and just say nice day. Nice day, right? Nice day, right? Lovely day, right? Very simple, right? Or, if you're in England, looks like it's going to rain. It looks like it's going to rain. Or drop the it. Looks like it's going to rain. Very simple. Weather, classic. You can't go wrong with weather. More generally, and a very easy question to ask, but can open up simple conversations. How's everything? How's everything? How's everything? Which is better than how are you? Because how are you, people just say, fine. And that's it. How's everything? Maybe you're asking about the business, if they're a shop assistant, or if it's a neighbour, about things in their life and maybe they want help with something. How's everything? It's just going to open up a little bit more the conversation if you want to. So that's it. That's brief encounters for really, really small talk. Let's move on. I would just like to take a moment to tell you more about Cambly, who are sponsoring this video. Cambly is a fantastic online platform where you can find native English speaking teachers who can help you learn, encourage you, correct you, give you feedback, and really help you become a better communicator in English. It's great because you can choose your own teacher. You have the one-on-one classes. You get to choose when you want to do the class and how often. You can choose the content, or the teacher can help you with that. And you can also go back and watch the recording of the class so you can review what you've done, which is so important to your learning. Cambly offers lots of different plans. You can choose the one that's flexible for you. And also, because you're following me, Cambly have some special discounts for you. First of all, if you want to check it out as a first-time user, you can get a 15-minute free lesson to find out if it's right for you and what you really want. Then, if you go for a 12-month plan, and that's really where you can start to become an effective and better communicator in English, you can get a 40% discount off any of the 12-month plans. 40%. Think about it. It's a really good investment, great opportunity. If it's what you're looking for, you can go and check out the link below. Click on there, find out more about it. Use the code there, new Keith, NEWKEITH, and you can go and see what it's like. If it's right for you, go and check it out. You will absolutely love it, I'm sure. Right now, let's get back into some small talk and how to start conversations easily. Now, the final situation is actually for people that you already know. So this could be friends, colleagues, classmates, and I call this at the water cooler because traditionally that's the kind of it's where you go for water. It's where you gather round, chat, have a chit chat, bit of small talk, killing time maybe, but it could be down the pub or at the coffee bar. And sometimes you're not sure how to start a conversation, or you're not sure what to talk about. And well, these phrases, tried and tested, guaranteed to work. They're very easy to use. Try them out. So first one is this one. Seen any good films lately? Notice instead of have you, you can just say seen any good films lately. Notice the intonation. Seen any good films lately? Try. Great. And that is great because most people watch films and would love to tell you about a film that was great and they recommend, or a film that was terrible and they don't want you to watch. Similarly, you could say, read any good books lately? Or been to any good gigs lately? Been to any good gigs lately? A gig is just a concert, right? Have you been to any good concerts lately? Been to any good gigs lately? So you can see that formula. You can use it for magazines, books, concerts, TV series, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. Next, talking about the weekends. Classic. Dead easy to do. What did you get up to at the weekend? What did you get up to at the weekend? Remember, get up to is when you do something in a relaxed way normally. So that's a nice way to ask about what they did at the weekend. You could also ask about the future. Got any plans for the weekend? Got any plans for the weekend? Notice I'm dropping have you. Got any plans for the weekend? Great. The weekends are really easy to talk about for most people. Now, you could focus the conversation on work or study. And again, you could say very simply, what are you working on at the moment? Or what are you studying at the moment? Easy conversations. People often like to tell you about the projects that they hate but they have to do, or the exciting project they're doing and they really want to, tell you about and spread their passion about what they're doing. It's a nice question to ask. The final or third part of these questions is all about, I was going to say gossip. It's not exactly gossip. Let's call it news/gossip. And this is where, because people love to talk about gossip, right? People love to talk about what other people are doing, new places, new things. And there are lots of questions you can ask here. For example, have you been to that new Spanish bar? Right? Or even, you can drop the have you, been to that new Spanish bar yet? Been to that new Spanish bar yet? Have you met the new sales manager yet? Have you seen the new product we're launching? So all of these questions about have you been, have you seen, have you met, have you heard, have you read the new policy about, all of these are great questions because they're talking about recent news, recent events, finding out or exchanging your opinions about it. And it's kind of touching on gossip almost. I don't really like gossip, but it's a very, very easy conversation starter, right? Let's call it news/gossip. So lots of things you can ask about. Great, let's move on. Right, and as promised, here's that bonus, all about those taboo topics, the things you shouldn't say to British people. Now, to be clear, right, this is when you don't know the people at all. I think these are the kind of topics and phrases you wouldn't ask or say when you're meeting complete strangers, right? It's just not safe. Of course, as you get to know people and you know them better, you could start asking these questions. But let's assume this is for people you don't know. The first kind of taboo topic or delicate topic is family, interestingly, right? Because you may think you can ask about family, about, are you married? Do you have any children? What does your wife do? And probably 30 years ago, these would be innocent questions. But I think in today's climate, in Britain, they can be delicate with strangers, right? So, for example, are you married? But what if that person has just got divorced, or they've had an engagement that has failed, and you may be touching on a delicate topic. Likewise, well, what does your wife do? But maybe they've just lost their job, they've been laid off, they're unemployed. And again, that's a really delicate topic you probably don't want to touch. And again, what does your wife do? Asking me, but maybe a man is married to a man and they have a husband, and they could feel a bit uncomfortable if you assume that they're automatically married to a woman. So these are things that can be delicate, I think, with complete strangers. I would move away from this topic until you get to know them better. I think otherwise it can be a minefield. Another topic is age, right? Generally, we don't talk about age. Women more so, but men also possibly. So the question, how old are you? Probably not appropriate, right? And another one around work and salary. In Britain, we tend not to talk about money too much, and we're not very comfortable talking about money. So you certainly would not ask, how much do you earn? Which is an interesting question. I've been asked that question in a few occasions when I've travelled around the world, and it's always shocked me, and I feel really uncomfortable talking about it. So be aware that in the UK, you may make people uncomfortable if you ask them, how much do you earn exactly? Okay. Another couple of topics that I would stay away from are politics and religion, right? Politics, sometimes you're tempted to say, oh, I can't believe what your president did the other day. And maybe you are shocked by what the president of that country did, but you don't know if the other person maybe is a big advocate of their president and they love their president. And you could easily offend their culture, their country, their sense of nationalism if you attack their president. And likewise in religion. Again, I've had several occasions on my travels where people have said, hello, my name's Tom. Do you believe in God? Well, that for me is a very personal question, and one that I'm happy to discuss with people I know very well. But with somebody I don't know, I would find that inappropriate. So these are some taboo topics and questions, especially in Great Britain. That's it. Fantastic. You've done a great job today with your practice. So we've been looking at small talk, looking at parties and social events. Then we talked about neighbours and queuing and taxi drivers, and also small talk at the water cooler with your friends, colleagues or classmates. And finally, of course, we were looking at taboos, kind of questions that you shouldn't ask if you're in the UK. I hope all of this has been useful. I hope it's helping you not only to learn English, but to become an English speaker. I'd love for you to change your mindset from being a student to becoming an English speaker and becoming a much more effective communicator in English. And I think understanding areas of small talk is a small but important step in that direction. Do remember, subscribe and turn on notifications to find out about upcoming videos from me. Do remember to go and check out Cambly if you really want to become an effective communicator in English. Go and find a teacher on Cambly, qualified native English speaking teachers who can really help you. There are lots of different plans, but you can check out a 15-minute lesson for free, or if you go for any of the 12-month plans, you'll get 40% discount. Amazing. Go and check it out. It's well worth trying. Go down below and click on the links to find out more. In the meantime, keep practicing, stay safe, and I will see you just around the corner in the next video. Thank you for spending this time with me, my friend. See you very soon. Bye-bye. You may know lots of vocabulary and grammar, but still be a terrible communicator. If I had a lot of money, I would purchase a majestic mansion on the rocky coastlines of Spain. Speaking English well and being a good communicator are not the same thing. Right now, keep watching because you are about to improve your communication skills in English. Hi, this is Keith from the Keith Speaking Academy and the YouTube channel English Speaking Success. Also, check out my new YouTube channel, English Speaking Success Shorts. Short videos focused on English pronunciation practice. So today, I've got 7 tips for you to help you become a better communicator in English. Remember, right? I think communication, it's a skill, it's like a muscle that you need to develop. A bit like confidence. Do you remember my last video about confidence? Well, it's something you need to develop over time through practice. A great place to practice, I think, is Cambly. Cambly have got native English speaking teachers who can help you practice English and develop awesome communication skills. More about that later. But today, the 7 tips I've got are the following. Speed, how fast you should speak. Emphasis, how to use stress effectively. Speaking clearly. Simplicity, body language, communicating ideas, and copying others. Oh, and I've got a great bonus for you. I'm going to tell you at the end the most powerful question that all great communicators use. And this is a really effective question you can use in the IELTS speaking test as well. So watch out for that at the end of the video. Let's get straight in with tip number 1. Tip number 1, speed. Don't speak too fast. Great communicators usually speak slightly more slowly than the normal speed of a conversation, so that the listener will grasp the main idea and understand what they're saying, right? A problem for many students, especially if you speak quickly even in your mother tongue, is that you think that that's fluency, right? Speed and fluency are not the same. In fact, speaking too quickly is a sign that your pronunciation is not good, that you don't control the pronunciation. So when you're speaking, speak slightly more slowly than natural conversation speed. Okay. And use the power of pausing. You should be pausing before you speak and in the middle of your speech, right? Let's take, for example, if I asked you the question, what would you do if you won the lottery? You might answer like this. If I had a lot of money, I would purchase a majestic mansion on the rocky coastlines of Spain. Right, but now let's try and improve that. We could say, what would you do if you won the lottery? If I had a lot of money, I would purchase a majestic mansion on the rocky coastlines of Spain. Right? Now, the pause at the beginning, even for 2 or 3 seconds, is very powerful because it tells the listener that you've heard them and that you're paying attention, right? It helps build trust and respect with the listener, whether it's a colleague, a friend, or an examiner. So that pause at the start is powerful. And then phrasing. The phrasing is where you have a chunk and a pause in the right place. If I had a lot of money, pause, I would purchase, small pause, a majestic mansion, pause, on the rocky coastlines of Spain. Powerful use of pausing. In fact, I just remembered, I've got a whole course about this, how to use phrasing correctly. Go and check it out. Fluency for IELTS speaking. Don't go now, go later. Right now, let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2, emphasis or stress, right? Good communicators are really good at using stress or emphasis to convey clear meaning. You need to think about stressing the right words, the right phrases, and even the right ideas within a speech, right? You can do this in different ways. One of the most common ways is to use adverbs. Adverbs can really help you emphasize the meaning of something. Let's take that sentence from the beginning, right? If I had a lot of money, I would definitely purchase a majestic mansion. Definitely, right? You're conveying the meaning of without doubt, for sure, that's what I would buy, right? It's a nice way to do it. In fact, there's a whole video about how to use adverbs effectively. Go and check it out later. The second thing to do is to change the volume. I'm sure if you've been to see some live music, right, you'll notice how in music they use volume, changes in volume, to convey meaning. You've got the music going dee 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 dee, right? There's a crescendo and then it comes down, and it's such a powerful communication. It's the same when you're speaking, right? You go from being very quiet to then getting louder, and it changes the dynamics. Particularly with adverbs, if you're stressing, when you stress something, you can increase the volume, right? If I had a lot of money, I would definitely buy a majestic mansion. That volume change, really good to help with that. Now, another couple of things. There are some very useful phrases you can use to help you show emphasis and stress and communicate more clearly. The first one is this one. What's blah, blah, blah about it is this, right? What's interesting about it is, or what's amazing about it is, so if somebody asks me, for example, is Spain an interesting place to live? I can say, well, yes, it's interesting. Or, yes, what's interesting about it is the beautiful scenery. How much more powerful is that, right? We're focusing the attention. What's interesting about it is, it's a lovely way of doing it. What's amazing about it, what's fascinating about it, you can have different adjectives in there. Similarly, another phrase you can use is what I blank about it is. So again, if somebody asks me, do you like Spain? Yes, I do. I like it. Or Yes, I do. What I like about it is the beautiful scenery. You see the stress? What I like about it is da 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 da. Again, you can change verbs. What I hate about it, what I love about it is nice focus, lovely way to emphasize and stress the meaning you want. So 2 great phrases there that you could use to help convey your meaning and be a better communicator. Let's move on. Tip number 3 is speak clearly. You really need to enunciate. Ooh, there's a nice word, enunciate. It just means to speak clearly. Open your mouth. English is one of those languages where a lot of the sounds come from the front of the mouth. We use our lips and the shape and the jaw a lot more than some languages, right? In some languages, you can see people speak almost without moving the lips. Hello, my name's Keith. Nice to see you. How are you? Things are good, thank you. What you need to be practicing is to over-exaggerate. Practice almost like a muscle gym, like a mouth gym. Practice moving your lips. So a very good exercise is to look in front of a mirror as you're speaking and over-exaggerate the movement. Let's take that sentence that we've been using in this video and just watch my lips, right, as I over-exaggerate. If I had a lot of money, I would purchase a majestic mansion on the rocky coastlines of Spain. And that's it. Now you over-exaggerate. When you're in conversation, you just speak naturally. But when you're practicing, go a bit over the top. Let's move on. Now, I'm ever so thirsty. Let's have a drink. What would you like? Excellent, good. Listen, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you are, then do subscribe and turn on notifications for future videos. I'd just like to take a moment to tell you about developing your communication skills, right? In order to do that, you need to practice. And a great place to practice is on Cambly. Cambly is an online platform with native English speaking teachers where you can have one-to-one classes with teachers and develop your speaking and communication skills. It's great because you can choose which teacher you'd like to have. You study when it suits you, and you even decide what you want to do in the class, or your teacher can guide you if you like. It's great because you can also record the classes and then go back later to watch again and carry on practicing and studying. Cambly have a variety of different plans for different needs, and I'm sure you can find a plan that will suit you. As you are one of my students and as Cambly are sponsoring this video, thank you so much Cambly for that, then we've got some discounts for you. If you are a first-time user, you can get a 10-minute class for free just to practice and try out the platform to see if you like it. If you go for the 1-year plan, that's 12 months, you get a 40% discount off the regular price. Great saving. If you sign up for Cambly, remember to use the code Keith-YT to get your 40% discount on the 12-month plan. That's Keith-YT. I think preparing for IELTS is all about improving your English for the long term, right? English for life. It's worth investing in a long-term plan, 12 months, and improve your English. Go and see, you can check out the links below to go and check out more, see if it's right for you. Excellent. Now, let's get back into those tips to help you become an even better communicator in English. Right, tip number 4, simplicity, or keeping things simple. Did you know there's a huge difference between spoken English and written English? I've talked a lot about this, but if you don't believe me, take a book like this, right? Longman Grammar of Spoken and Written English. I got this in China, but it's the British book. I mean, look, right? This is a mammoth volume. The differences, I mean, it's huge. There are big differences. Let me do that Blinkist thing where I summarize this in 1 minute. Two of those differences is that spoken English is generally simpler. It uses more simple language. And the second difference is spoken English has more repetition, which is logical, right? Because when you're writing, you can read things again and again. You don't need to repeat the words. When you're speaking, words disappear. People forget. So you need to repeat things again, often in a slightly different way, but a lot of repetition. So the idea of keeping language simpler is an important one when communicating effectively. Do you remember that phrase we had at the start about purchasing the majestic mansion? This one, right? Now, I would ask the person who said this, okay, if I had a lot of money, that's fine. Purchase, we would probably say buy, but you could say purchase. Majestic mansion, that sounds poetic. Why did you use majestic mansion? Oh no, I just looked it up in the dictionary yesterday. Right. It might be better to say, well, a house or a huge house, right? To get the meaning much clearer. It's about the size of the house. It's a huge house. Rocky coastlines. Why did you say rocky? Oh yeah, because I looked up rocky and it was a nice word to show off. Is it important? Right? The fact that you're buying a house, is the fact that it's rocky important? No. Then out. Forget it. Right? On the coast of Spain. If I had a lot of money, I would buy a huge house on the coast of Spain. That is much more effective communication. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Keith, but in IELTS speaking, we need to use complex vocabulary, right? Yes and no. In fact, not quite at all. There's nothing in the band descriptors about complex vocabulary. The band descriptors talk about band 8, right? Uses a wide vocabulary resource readily and flexibly to convey precise meaning. Using vocabulary flexibly. It's about using the right words in the right place at the right time. Not necessarily complex. Now, I do agree there's a bit of a balance between showing off vocabulary, but using the right words at the right time flexibly. So it's not always the same thing. Okay, just bear that in mind. Simplicity helps you communicate. Let's move on. Okay, tip number 5. Ready? Body language. Now this includes eye contact, your manner, whether you're friendly or unfriendly, and smiling. Communication is far more than words, right? We communicate with words, but actually we communicate a lot without words, just through our body language. And it's very important. Take a simple example. Let me show you different ways I can use body language and words to ask for your pen, right? First. Second. Pen. Third. Give me a pen. Fourth. Can I borrow your pen, please? Thanks. Which one is more effective, right? It's not only the words, but it's the manner, the gestures that we make as well. I think the last one is a more effective communicator. Not always, right? I know it depends on the context and who you're speaking to. But generally speaking, the eye contact, having some eye contact, a pleasant manner and smiling make you a more effective communicator. And it's especially true in interviews, job interviews, IELTS speaking tests. Let's go back and listen to the first speaker of this video and notice the body language. If I had a lot of money, I would purchase a majestic mansion on the rocky coastlines of Spain. Now let's see if I can improve it. If I had a lot of money, I would definitely buy a house, probably a huge house, on the coast of Spain. Right? More powerful communication. Great. What you can do now, practice yourself. Take the words, try and use your body language, eye contact, manner, smiling to be a better communicator. Have a go. That is great. Keep on practicing while we move on to tip number 6. So tip number 6 is about communicating ideas. Communication is all about getting your ideas across. It's not about speaking perfect English. In order to communicate ideas, well, of course, you need to have ideas to communicate. If you've got no ideas, then there's no communication. But this is a common problem for many students. And they ask me, Keith, what do I do in IELTS speaking if I have no idea about the topic? Well, of course, you can say one or two clever things like, well, I haven't thought about that before. But, you know, it's not very effective. What you really should be doing is reading and listening to a wide range of material on different topics. Become an avid reader. Start reading books about food, maybe books about Edward Snowden. Read magazines, right? Maybe news, maybe others. Read some interesting websites. Check out this one, The Conversation. Brilliant website, lots of interesting ideas. Also, be watching things, videos. I mean, you can go to YouTube. I would recommend Curiosity Stream, right? For under $20 a year, you get access to a wide range of amazing documentaries, films, very specific topics, really useful for ideas. Yes. Another thing you can do is to be asking yourself this question every day. What do you think of... Right? Ask yourself that question. I even, in other languages, write little cards, right? I mean, I'm a bit of an old-fashioned person. Call me an old fogey, if you will. But I like flashcards where I write them down. So I may write down things like, you know, what do you think of climate change? What do you think of artificial intelligence? What do you think of science? And just each day, I'll just pick up one and I'll start answering. And if I can't get an answer, I'll go and read something that can help me get some ideas about it, right? Become an avid reader. Great, let's move on. Tip number 7, copy others. So I recommend that you watch some great speakers and communicators, right? And copy or imitate everything they do. Watch them and notice the speed, the emphasis, volume, enunciation, simplicity of language, body language, getting their ideas across, right? Watch them and notice these things, and then copy them. You may want to look at people like, I don't know, I mean, some people say Winston Churchill, possibly, Barack Obama, for sure, Jim Rohn, Oprah Winfrey, brilliant, Richard Branson, another great one, Tony Robbins, not everybody's cup of tea, but maybe. Just go and watch them. In fact, what you can even do is just take 2 or 3 sentences that they say, right, break it down and try and imitate exactly what they say and the way they do it, just for 2 or 3 sentences. Record yourself. Do this over several days and to see how you get closer and closer to being just like them. It's a great exercise to do. Help build up your confidence as well as communication skills. That's it. Oh, there's still a bonus. Let's go over to that bonus. So, if you remember, at the beginning of the video, I did say I would tell you the most powerful question that great communicators use. So that question is, what do you mean exactly? It's a great question. It's a great question because it makes the other person think that you're interested in them and their ideas, because you're asking them to clarify it. And maybe you are, but also it helps build trust because they think you're interested, you're trying to listen, understand them better. So it builds trust. It's great. In IELTS speaking, it's a great question because if, especially in part 3, you don't fully understand something or you're not sure, you just say, what do you mean exactly? You know, if the examiner says, well, do you think consumerism has overtaken our society? What do you mean exactly? Well, do you think that people buy too many things? Ah, okay. And then you give your answer, right? It's a great question to build trust, to help you become a better communicator, not just in IELTS speaking, but in any kind of conversation. Fantastic. That's it. I hope this helps you see that good communication is not just about good English. It's so much more. Communication is a skill that you need to develop and it takes time. Remember, go and check out Cambly where you can practice and build up your communication skills with native English speaking teachers. Also, if you're a first-time user, you can take a 10-minute free lesson to check it